Welcome to Empirical Pod. I'm your host, Tim Day. Thank you so much for continuing this journey with me, where I get to sit and talk to all my favorite people. You guys remember the drill. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever is going on out there. Let's get into today's episode. Why do you think you're boring?
I don't know. I just feel like I don't know.
We've done some pretty cool things.
I guess so.
You don't notice because they're just you don't think about
It's
them.
just like normal life for me, I guess.
Exactly. That's kind of the point of the show, is that everybody thinks that their normal life is just whatever and meandering, but it's actually pretty impressive.
Okay.
So, did you start in Oswego?
Yorkville.
Yorkville? Oh, you didn't even go to school with us, did you?
Oh, and everyone
You're a
thinks
little
that I
sneak.
went. Literally, everyone thinks that I went to Oswego.
Yeah. Well,
everyone.
I feel like you know tons of people.
I do, and so what's funny about that is to this day, I will be with groups of people from Oswego who will start talking about like a teacher or something. Be like, hey, remember that? And I'm like, I didn't go there. Like, I've had to say that so many times throughout the last like 20 years. Like, don't you think you would remember if I was in your class or
It was
something?
funny because at this point, like we were just saying before we got on, that we haven't hung out in like 20 years. So we just presume you were always there.
No, I don't even know how I met so many people to begin with in Oswego. Like, I surely had somebody that was like, I think it must have been high school. When I was in high school, I worked at Panera Bread.
The one in Oswego?
It started in Oswego. We
Yeah.
were like trained there, and then we opened the Yorkville one. And there were a bunch of people from Oswego that worked at the Yorkville one. So I think that's where like my start of Oswego friends came from.
That makes sense. Like, plus, like everybody hung out at Susie's right there after high school. So, I guess we just start from the beginning. We're here with Nikki. I only know you as Nikki Farnsworth.
That's fine.
But you're not going to go back to that, right?
No.
So you're going to stick with
Osterloh.
It's pronounced just like it's spelled.
Yep.
Beautiful. So have you been in Yorkville your whole life then?
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you are boring.
I am born. Well, I was born in Arkansas, but
That's exciting.
No,
I wish you had a southern drawl.
I used to.
Really?
But then when I moved here, I think I was like 4 when we moved here.
You actually lived in Arkansas for a while.
Yes. Yeah, me and my mom lived with my grandparents there. Yeah. And when I moved here, kids are friggin' mean. And I remember being made fun of so bad for my accent that I tried extra hard to get rid of it. Because I was like, I'm not getting picked on by these kids. And also I lied about where I moved from because I thought France sounded cooler than Arkansas. So.
I mean, you're talking about like Cajun is pretty close at least.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, so I have not lived in Yorkville all my life, but most of it, yes. And then I did move to Chicago for...
Did you just lose your accent then, or did you go to a vocal coach and like genuinely try?
I just tried to mimic everybody else's voices and then...
Start talking like a Chicago?
Yeah, exactly. I just practiced my Chicago voice and then, it just went away eventually. But
and then you lived in Chicago?
I did live in Chicago for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe? Because I went to college there.
Oh, so that's later though.
Yeah.
So you just went to elementary school, junior high, and Yorkville High School?
Yep.
And then, so presumably then you probably met everybody, like we were just saying, like everybody hung out at Susie's.
Well, I think I met everyone from Oswego actually at Howie's.
Oh, if you came to Howie's, then for sure.
Yeah, because I went there.
That's why I remember Howie's.
Yeah. That was my favorite spot.
Yeah, I used to help them. Me and Jason used to help Dana close the door down every day.
Yes, I know.
Oh yeah, because we always go out afterwards.
I was there.
Yeah, we would shut their bar down at like 12 or 1 and then go to the 4 a.m. bars.
Yeah, yes.
Ugh, that was so much fun, but I don't miss it.
I don't miss it either, but...
It was a good time though.
Yeah, I had like a solid chunk of years where I drank a lot, and now I'm like, I actually have developed an allergic... I'm allergic to alcohol now, which is so funny.
Really?
Because I'm like, how did that even happen? Like, it just started like a year ago.
Like beer or alcohol
Any
proper?
alcohol. Like,
really?
if I drink, my whole face turns bright red and turns in... Like, I get hives.
Yeah.
And I get, like, white around my eyes and, like... I like get really hot and it's terrible. So all I have to do is just take like 2 or 3 allergy medicines before if I know I'm going to, but I don't ever remember to do that. So I'm just like, pass.
It'll be fine.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I'd rather not feel that way.
That's how I'm like I said, I don't miss it. I'd rather do anything else.
Yeah.
Like I'm still allowed to do it. I'm just like, I just don't want to.
But it was fun though.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So being at Howie's too, then that's for sure then where you would have met everybody.
Yeah.
That would have been like right as we were turning 21. Mm-hmm. Cause you and your ex were together for a long time too.
Yeah, like probably like 12 years maybe.
Yeah. Cause how long have you been divorced now?
We have been separated for like 2.5 years. 2.5.
Okay, so you didn't start dating right away.
No.
The early 20s.
Not until I think. Gosh, I'm so bad with timelines. Middle 20s then, right? Because I'm 37. Yeah, so like middle-ish 20s.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that you're younger. Also, that also explains why you don't know everybody's like younger brothers and sisters. Because you didn't actually go to Oswego. You infiltrated from the outside.
I did infiltrate. People literally will be like, hey, who? So Alyssa Holsinger is one of my very best friends. Yeah. She's from Oswego.
Yeah.
And whenever we met in high school because we worked at Panera Bread together. And whenever, like, if I'm ever with Oswego people that she's around, like somehow somebody will come up, like a specific teacher that is always talked about, like that was super hot or something, will come up and they're like, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, I did not go there. I went to Yorkville, but I could just pretend that I'm cool enough to be a Oswego high
with
school.
whatever they say. They're probably talking about Miss Leaderhouse.
I heard that name. Yeah. I probably heard all the names. Like anyone had talked about. There was like a super hot guy teacher too. I've heard about.
That I don't believe.
No?
I mean, it's possible, but...
Oh, I'm also younger. I graduated in 2004,
so... Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that makes a difference in teachers there.
I think you're my sister's age, actually. That's right, yeah, because I'm always like... When I talk about you to her, she's like, I don't know who you're talking about. And I'm like, that's weird.
It's because I went to Yorkville.
No, it all makes sense.
Yes, and everyone in Yorkville in my class would know who I am because we had like 100 people in my graduating class. So
only 100? Wow.
Yeah, it was small. Maybe 120.
Yeah, I was like, isn't Catelyn in your class, or is she? Yeah.
Oh wait, actually, she might have been a year younger than me.
Yeah.
She might have been younger, but same group.
Yeah.
Yeah, because small group, small towns.
Small town.
Yeah.
I actually think my friend Jillian. Do you know I don't know how old she is. Do you know Jillian Johnson?
Sounds familiar.
I feel like she went to Yorkville. I can't remember if that was Yorkville or Sandwich, because my cousin was out that way too. It doesn't matter. What did you? So you went to college in Chicago?
Mm-hmm. I went to Waubonsee first.
Yeah.
And then I went to Columbia College in Chicago for marketing. Well, I originally was going for like entertainment management. I thought I was gonna.
Yeah? So what were you gonna do with that?
I thought I was gonna do something with like. I don't know, music and touring or...
Not for nothing. At that time, there was so many of us musicians around.
I know.
Like, that had a lot of talent that could have gone somewhere if you would have finished your degree.
I know. I really screwed everything up with that. But then I got pregnant, and then they were like, whatever I was trying to do was like...
Did you get pregnant that long ago?
Yeah, my son is turning 12 this summer. And also, I went to school way later. So,
so you took some time off after high school.
I took time off. Yeah. I wasn't a normal college
Did you do anything or just kind of lounge around Yorkville?
Well, I was lounging around Yorkville because I got in a really bad accident. And
really?
Yes. So I got in this accident at a party in Sandwich.
Yeah.
And I was 19?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 18 or 19.
Sure.
And while I was at school, and so at Waubonsee. So like, I remember dropping, I think the semester had just started, and I dropped my classes, and then my healing time was like super long. Like, what happened was this girl backed up into me.
Were you hit by a car?
Yes, I was literally hit by a car, and I was one of 3 people hit by this car too.
Wow.
So it wasn't just me. But I had the worst of the injuries, which sucked. So I had to get airlifted to Good
Did
Sam.
you get what happened? What were your injuries?
My femur was broken in 2 places.
Damn, that's a bad one to break.
Yes.
So that's probably what takes at least a year or longer.
Yeah, it was bad. I had like a crazy limp for a while and everything. But then they put me in an induced coma.
Wow.
To do the surgery because my injuries were so bad, I guess.
Yeah. Are those the only breaks? The 2 in the femur?
I think yes.
Then just a bunch of whatever other.
Yeah. Then I had I've had back problems ever since then. But but yeah, that was the biggest one. And so then I like moved into my mom's basement that she like set up for me to be a handicapped person down there.
Yeah.
And I was in physical therapy like 3 times a week and crutches, everything. I think I had that limp for a year.
Yeah.
I looked like I got hit by a car. And it was bad. But
that definitely would change your plans drastically.
Yes, it did change my plans because and then after that, once I was back to normal, I turned 21. So then I was like, well, I don't want to leave now. Like, this is fun. All my friends are back now. Like, most of my friends went to Northern.
Yeah.
And I had a couple at Western and, like, around locally, though, where, like, I could go visit and party with them. But then when everyone came back, I hadn't left yet. And so then I was like, I'm just going to stay and party with everyone for a while. And then, eventually I was like, okay, I should probably do something with my life here because I was bored.
So why did you go to Wabanzi first? Like, just to kind of...
I went right after high school there.
Okay, so you did Wabanzi first and then...
And then the accident happened. And then
I went to Columbia.
Yeah. So I actually moved there first before I even applied. Like, I just wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I moved to Wrigleyville and then...
Such a nice area, too.
Yes. Well, actually, technically I was in... My first apartment was not Wrigleyville. It was north of that. What was that neighborhood? Well, they call it Girls Town. But now I can't remember what the neighborhood's called. But anyways, it's like 10 minutes north. So I started there first. Then I got into school. And then ended up... then I think I had like 4 different apartments in Wrigleyville. And then after school... So during school... I had started dating Kyle, and then it was my last year. It was like my second to last semester was when I got pregnant with Lucas, and then we moved to Montgomery.
Yeah.
And then I did my whole last semester with a newborn and taking the train to the city. It was a lot. That
is a lot.
And I took an extra class too so that I could graduate, like, so I could be done and not have to keep going back and forth. So it was a freaking lot. But
I mean, that's a further testament to you as a person, though. Like, so that might sound boring.
I am boring.
That's still impressive as hell, though. Like,
well, thanks. It was hard.
That stuff. So I guess I didn't realize because you have 3 kids.
Well, 2 that I birthed, and then Kyle has a son too. So I claim him as my extra child.
Right.
And he's 16. So so there's him, and then Lucas is going to be 12 this summer, and then Sammy just turned 9.
Yeah. Okay. So there's not that big of a difference between the kids anyway. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I was the oldest one in all my classes, and I definitely felt weird being fully pregnant in my classes with all these like 19-year-olds who didn't know anything about life. Do you think when they were looking at it, they're like, this is why she got kicked out of high school? They were like, no, they were actually really cool. Like, everybody was very, everyone was really nice and, like, didn't care that I was old and washed up and pregnant. So then during that, I switched my major to...
from entertainment...
Yeah, entertainment management. I switched it from that to marketing with specialization or whatever in event planning. And then...
during all this time, though, too, like, so you've got the new relationship that's getting established, essentially 2 kids because you're pregnant and he's got a child as well. Mm-hmm. And how are you paying for all this?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're going to Columbia.
Okay, so I still have a ton of loans.
So you're still paying for Columbia.
I'm still paying my student loans, so there's that, which I deferred for like 10 years, by the way.
You're so close to having it wiped out.
Yeah, I know. I'm like waiting. Is that real? Because I'm like, what do I need to do to get those taken care of? Because that would be great. Although, yeah, I was working. I was always working too. Yeah. So like I was
like just for an example, like what were you doing back then? Like, cause you gotta be able to focus on these things and still bring in money.
What was I doing then? I was a server for a while.
Did you ever bartend?
I did bartend a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like that's just good money.
Yeah.
And it kind of works around a schedule.
My favorite job I ever had, though, was serving. I worked at the American Girl place in Chicago.
Oh, really?
And it was so fun.
That does sound fun.
Well, you're wearing a pink apron for one, so that's so fun. And, like, everybody that worked there was the best. And I met some of my best friends that I'm still friends with there. Yeah. And so, yeah, and bank. These rich parents taking their kids to have their birthday parties at American Girl place. Oh,
I feel like in a cool niche place like that,
yeah,
it's got a lot of money coming in.
So much. They're just throwing it at you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was awesome. I love that job.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That was besides my job now, which is obviously my favorite. I don't know if that's obvious, but it's my favorite job. I love working there. But besides that was my favorite. But yeah, I was serving when I lived back out here. I was serving for a little bit at a couple different places. I can't even remember where. Where was I working?
It doesn't matter. Most of them are probably gone anyway.
Yeah, probably. True that. But yeah, then I worked for a chiropractor for a couple years, which was like really convenient for me because I've been having to see a chiropractor ever since that accident. Right. So then I got free chiropractic care for the couple years that I worked there. Nice. And I was just doing her, kind of like her marketing, pretty much getting her new patients and stuff. And then through that, her name's Dr. Cornish. She's like the sweetest lady. She loves donating to local nonprofits. Yeah. And so she would donate her new patient fee to nonprofits. Oh, and nice. That's how I found out about CASA.
Yeah.
And then I ended up working there for 6 years. And then, yeah, this last year and a half I've been at Markland.
So what is CASA?
So CASA is Court-Appointed Special Advocates. So I don't work there anymore, but I do still volunteer there.
Yeah.
So I'm a volunteer advocate, which is just a person who has the best interest of a child that has been a victim of abuse or neglect. Sure. And is going through the system. So
do you have to be some sort of education to do that?
No, not at all. So you do the training. They train you, which is like 6 to 8 weeks of classes.
Sure.
And then we have to do like regular training throughout the year. But
I'm a little thrown off because it sounds like something that I would really enjoy.
Oh my gosh.
Because of the other stuff I've done has kind of dimmed my light because you can only help a kid so far, and then you hit a wall and nobody's interested in going past this wall, and I don't like that.
I would definitely tell you all about CASA because it's really great. It's a really great, like, I mean, obviously I stayed on as a volunteer when I quit working there. So like, I love it. It's a really good organization.
It sounds really
We're basically paired up like not paired up, but we're the voice of the kid. Yeah. So we go to all their court.
Yeah, I was saying, what sense what does that mean?
So we go to all their court dates. We go to
like, what would be an example of a court case?
Well, my case that I had actually just closed. I had it for 4 years, the same one. And so the point of it is that you're paired up with one. We do have a lot of advocates that have more free time, so they have like multiple cases, but I just had the one. And you're like their person. You're like their designated person. So when you're in the system, you get bounced around to different foster homes. You can have multiple caseworkers. I was lucky enough to have the same caseworker for the whole entire time, pretty much. Yeah. And then also the same foster home. So that was great. But they're just going through so much like back and forth and like, but you're just the consistent person in their life throughout the whole thing. So that's like the whole basis of it, basically. And then whatever we think is in their best interest is what we talk about at court. So we write a report to the court, which there's supervisors that like help you with it and everything, on wording and stuff. But you tell them like, I think it's the best interest for this kid to be adopted by this family. Yeah. They're thriving there or whatever. And then you visit once a month. So you're just constantly showing up for this kid. So my particular kid had gotten sent back home to his mom, and she was doing really well, and then ended up relapsing and losing him again, and then he went back to the foster home he was with, and then those foster parents ended up adopting him because she lost her rights. Yeah. And so being at that adoption, that adoption just happened, was it in January? I think it was, December or January, and it was like the most magical day ever to see like, you know, this kid be in a loving home where, and his mom did really try. She gave it a good effort, but she was, you know, an addict, and that's
reality is reality, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, it's cool to be part of, because you can actually see the difference that you're making. Like, you can see, you know, and it's not always that way, but mine was. So,
there's these moments, when you're close with people, and especially helping them through these kind of things, where like the lights come back on. Yeah. And you can see it in their eyes, and you're like, that's what you're doing it for.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I loved, like, when I worked there, I did their fundraising and events and volunteer recruitment and social media and all of that stuff. But I just like have such a big passion for helping anybody in general. Yeah. But kids is my like soft spot, so I had to say, because I love them. I actually just got assigned a new CASA case, and it's a teenager, which is so weird, because I just went from having this little, when I started he was 2 and now he's 6.
That's crazy.
And so now I have like a teenager, which is like totally different, because like she'll just call me and be like, hey, I need some advice, and I'm like, this is so cool.
That's like, awesome. Yes, that's what I would get into.
I love it. And you can actually add, like, you can say like, hey, I'd like a teenager, and the teenagers, not everyone wants, because teenagers are hard.
Yeah, I prefer people with opinions.
Yes.
And that hate adults.
Yes, you'd be perfect. We have a lot of those. We have a lot of teenagers. So yeah, training starts next week. I'll give you some more information.
Yeah, we'll talk about it offline for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you did that for, you said 6. I mean, you're still doing it, but like you did it as the main job. And what brought you to Markland?
So, I love this story, because I believe in like divine intervention, and I also believe in God, and I also believe in fate. So I think it was all of these things combined in once. I wasn't looking to move, but I went to a volunteer fair at Wabansie to recruit new volunteers. Yeah. And right next to me was the Markland booth. And I've heard of Markland because my best friend Lindsay, her sister, has been going to school there forever. So they have a school, and they also have homes on the campus. And you can come to school there if you don't live there. And this Markland is residential and school for profound disabilities. So their whole mission is making everyday life possible for them. Right. And it's like pretty bad disabilities. So wheelchair.
Actually, I almost applied there when I left the school. I went to private place for autistic children.
Oh yeah.
Before I ended up there, I was looking at Markland, but I'm like, I don't think I could handle the severe disabilities.
We could have been coworkers.
Could have been.
Well, we do have, because we also have the school for autism too. So we do have. Yeah,
that's what I was more looking for. That.
Yeah, we have a couple different things there, but what was I talking about?
Markland and starting to work there.
Oh yes, so I knew about Markland because Lindsay's sister has went there to school, and around this same week I've been hearing it brought up because her parents were struggling with moving her there. Yeah. They're getting older, and it's just harder. She's an adult, so it's harder to like lift her up and things. And so Lindsay was just venting to me about it and about her sister moving there and how they were struggling a little bit with that decision. And so I ended up meeting the lady, Kathy, next to me. She's the sweetest angel, I swear. She like changed my life with this job because, like I said, I didn't see this coming. So we're chatting, and she's telling me how she's retiring and moving to Florida, and if I know anybody who would want this job to pass along her card. And I was thinking like, oh yeah, I know some people. I'll keep them in mind, like pass it around or whatever. And then I was like, oh, do you know so-and-so? This is my friend's sister. She's about to move there. And she was like, of course I know her. I've worked there for 25 years. She's been in this position for 25 years. So I was like, wow, you must really love it to work there for that long. Like, that's forever. And anyway, so then I get her card. We go about our separate ways. And then the next day, I go get my hair done. And my hair person is my stepson's mom, by the way. So she's been doing my hair for the last, over a decade. Sure. Probably actually, wow, so little Kyle is 16, so 13 years she's been doing my hair for. So anyways, I go in there, and her cousin was also getting her hair done at the same time. And we've been in there at the same time together because, you know, you get your hair done. Like, well, most people are on the same schedule. I'm just kind of willy-nilly. But we've been in there before. And her car broke or something, so her boyfriend drove her that day. And her boyfriend was wearing a Marklin shirt.
Ooh.
And I'm like, that's weird.
How serendipitous.
Right? I was like, do you work there? And he's like, yeah, he's a behavioral occupational therapist or something, something fancy. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. I've been hearing about Marklin so much this week. And he's like, oh yeah, like what? And I was like, oh, do you know Kathy? I was sitting next to her at this booth. And he's like, oh, Kathy, yeah, she changed my whole life. And I was like, what? And he tells me this whole story about how he got community service. And that's why he was volunteering there. And then she loved like watching him with the residents and the students and was like, you should do something with this. Yeah. And so he went from a volunteer to going to college for this, and then now he works there.
Well, he went from a volunteer like as being forced to
by
a court, and then being like, actually, this is awesome.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Right. They actually just did a story on him.
Nice.
Like through our.
Who are they?
That Marklin did like our marketing department did a story on him. Yeah. Because I told my boss that story. So she's like, well, now we need to interview him and put him in our newsletter.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool. But so anyway, all these signs kept happening. And then I was going down to town for a music festival the next day. And Alyssa was driving. Where are we going to? We were going to Louisville. And she was driving. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to apply just for funsies. Like, I'm not going to read into this, but I'm just going to apply and see what happens. And so I filled out the application on my phone while she was driving.
What was that decision like, though? Because you're happy at CASA.
I know. Yes, I was. I don't know. I just
It was more of just like these signs just keep kind of showing up. Let me pull this thread a little just to see. Because you don't have anything to lose by seeing.
Right, exactly. And I listen. Like, when signs are happening, I'm like, okay, I'll bite. Like,
okay, universe. I'll see what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. All right. I see what you're throwing out. I'll play. And so it was just like, oh, for fun. And then anyway, I did all the interviews, and here I am a year and a half later, and I manage the volunteers. So we have like probably how many did we have this month? In February we had, I think it was like 650. Roughly volunteers come through just in February. Jeez. And we do have 3 locations, but most of those were at Geneva because that's the biggest of the 3 locations. And we have a lot of repeat groups that come weekly, and we've got like field trips that come in, and like I paired up, there was 80 first graders that came and like did art projects with our students and read them books, and they sang a song. Awesome. And like it's the cutest freaking thing ever to see little kids with people with disabilities if they've never seen them or seen that before, because they're nervous at first, and then by the end they're like best friends with them. And
I love the being exposed to it and trying and normalizing and stuff like that. Yes. It makes me uncomfortable still.
Right.
And it bothers me that it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, and if you're not around it
would. Yeah. You don't know any better. Yeah. Right. So I like that it's integrated in. Where are the other 2 offices?
Yes, the other 2 are in Elgin and Bloomingdale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just spread out pretty decently.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's just like a really magical job. Like I genuinely look forward to going to work every day because that's what I get to do. And like to see, that's the one thing that was hard about CASA was that I was doing all this fundraising and planning, but I didn't see like the direct impact of it. Like I did with my own.
That's huge though too.
Right.
Like, because you want to feel like you're contributing. And sometimes when you're in an office or behind the scenes, you know you are, but you don't feel like when you're on the front line.
Well, yeah. And if you're not seeing it, like it's hard to keep the connection, I guess. So like at any point when I'm at work now, I can just walk on over to the classrooms and say hi to my friends, like see what they're up to, because I'm going to go over there and introduce the new volunteers to them anyways. But they do super fun stuff. Like they're going bowling and movies and shopping and car shows, and they're doing all this stuff. So I get volunteers to come be partnered up with someone in a wheelchair so that they can be like their buddy. Yeah. And so just getting to be like connecting people who want to help. Oh, that's the other best part of my job is everyone I encounter is the best people. Yeah. Because like everyone.
Well, nobody else would come to you if they weren't amazing.
Exactly. Like they're all just the sweetest. Like everyone from first graders to retired 80-year-olds are like wanting to volunteer and give their time. And if you're wanting to give your time, your precious time to come help somebody who needs it, I automatically love you. Like, and so it's just like the most heartwarming job ever.
Yeah.
I literally love it.
You don't know this, but I love this episode already just for the simple fact of like it's so wholesome and uplifting, and this is amazing. The episode I recorded that just came out the week before this, was with Shoger, who we talked for like 2 hours about how he built a drug empire.
Oh my god! Oh, it's very different. I haven't listened to that one. Has it
hasn't
yet?
come out yet.
I'm like, I haven't heard that one yet.
By the time this comes out, that will have come out the week before.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's the future. But it's just funny to think of like how wholesome and beautiful this is, and what just happened last week.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Oh,
Yeah.
That's way more exciting though. Like I wasn't a drug lord or anything.
I think they're both exciting. They're both awesome in their own way for sure. And I think they're both critical to life and somehow.
I guess so. Balance, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have balance. Everybody wants. I think most people fit in one of those two categories. They're either really into drugs, they're really into helping people.
Sure.
Or
yeah.
What's a drug dealer? He's into both, right? He wants to help people and do drugs.
But, you never know.
Yeah, I always thought my sister would be good for Markland, because she's a para at the school I came from, and she loved working with the special needs kids there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think you should do it in a better environment, not just a public school, in more of a private setting where you can actually focus on it and do more. I think. I don't want to put words into her mouth or make her decisions for her, but I think there's more money to be made, and I think it's more rewarding in general.
Yeah.
If you go that route. Not to get into specifics, but was there a pay increase leaving CASA going to Markland?
There was, yes. And it was pretty significant. So
Really?
That was a surprise too, because I would say that my workload significantly shrunk.
Right.
So I was wearing many hats at CASA. Yeah. It's a way smaller nonprofit.
I say it's a very small.
Yeah. Well, it's county by county.
It's a nonprofit in general.
Right.
Markland is a private organization that does this.
Right. And it's also a nonprofit, but it's huge. So we've got 500 employees at Markland, where at CASA, Kendall County, there was 5 of us. So we all kind of did it, there was half of us on the court side and then half of us on the marketing, it was me, I was the other half. So I was doing all the things, and I was surely working 60 hours a week, and I won't say I was getting burnt out, because I did love my job and it was really fun. But it was definitely exhausting. Yeah. And so, getting a little pay bump to have now one hat was really awesome, because I don't have stress or anything. I literally love to get up and go to work every day. And it's also I can afford my own apartment now. So it's a win-win.
I think it's wonderful when you can live in that presence of the shift of being I have to go to work versus I get to go to work.
Yes, and I do feel that way.
That's critical.
Yeah, and my team is the best. Like I said, we have 500 employees. Obviously, I don't know them all.
Sure.
I'm not in all the homes all the time, but I work with my team is 5 or 6 people, and then the people who work with the volunteers, I'm directly working with probably 10 or 15 of them, and they're all just the best people. Everyone, it's not just me. Everyone loves coming to work. Obviously there are stressful days or situations that come up,
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's the best environment. My boss is amazing. My coworkers on my team have become my best friends. So when I started working there, it was very this is so weird that this is happening to me. And then it's not just a job though. I also found a whole new family and new besties, and my office roommate, I call her my roommate, which I don't know what else to call her. We share an office, so I just call her my roommate, Tiffany. She's become one of my very best friends over the last year, and my other coworker Sam. We're all really close, and our boss is kind of not a mom figure, but a big sister figure, I'll say. And we all just work so well together that I can't imagine doing anything else, and I would honestly be happy retiring with this job. I can see why my what do you call your predecessor? Yes, is that what it's called? Yeah. Who I followed? Sure. I can see why she worked there for 25 years, because it's just such a great place.
And realistically, you've got 30 years till you can retire anyway.
Ugh. Yeah, that seems like a long time away, but that's okay, because I think I'd be bored anyway if I were to retire now. What would I even do?
Yeah, I mean, I would just work part-time. Like,
yeah, and just travel a lot.
Well,
That's what I would do, I think.
if you have money.
If I won the lottery right now, I was just talking about this the other day. If I won the lottery right now, I would keep my job.
Yeah.
But just go to part-time.
And travel?
And then just travel with the...
Where would you travel? Like, what's the...
I want to go everywhere. I want to go to every...
Because you never left Yorkville.
I did leave Yorkville a few times. I have traveled a little bit.
Where'd you go?
I've been to France.
Nice, I've been to France. When did you go to France?
I went right after I graduated high school.
Okay, let's say, I wish you would have gone there the same time I was there.
Wouldn't that have been funny if I bumped into you?
So funny.
I do need a redo, though, because I didn't fully appreciate it then.
Yeah.
Like, I was a teenager, and I liked, like, clubs and stuff then.
Yeah.
Whereas to now, I feel like I would appreciate the culture and things more.
It's funny, because I'd like to go... I have friends in Germany, so I stayed with them. And then we went all around Germany, and we caught the train to Paris one day and stuff like that. So which is awesome to be able to do.
Yeah.
But I went with an ex-girlfriend, who was an ex-girlfriend then also. And like it was the best time. But I would rather go alone, I think, and do more things that I want to do. Like I'm boring. Like I don't like touristy stuff.
Oh, okay.
I want to actually just like submerge into the culture as much as possible.
No, I would want to do that too. Which when I went, I did all the touristy things. So now I need to go back. Like, I need to go. We can go back. Let's go back together.
I'll be down for sure. I would 100%. I got places to stay for free.
Perfect. Even better.
It's just a matter of flying out there.
Yes, let's do it because I'm down. Like, I've been there. I've been to Mexico a couple times. I went to El Salvador on a mission trip once.
Interesting.
That was cool. It was with an orphanage, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I guess that's the only other places I've been. And I haven't really been... I've probably only been to like 10 states. So I'm pretty uncultured.
I guess I feel that I'm pretty American uncultured. I don't feel like I've been to a lot of states. I've driven through a bunch, but like I haven't really been to them. Even when I go to them, I'm like, this place sucks. I don't want to do anything
Well,
here.
it's because America, meh.
I did not for nothing. We went to Florida after Christmas through New Year's, and I've always talked garbage about Florida. It's always been a dump. But we went to St. Augustine, and I'm like, this is actually pretty sweet.
I don't think I've been there, but I've heard about it.
It's like the nice part, so like you're definitely not going to afford to live there. But you can live close enough to be like, this feels good. Like we watched the sunrise, dolphins jumping in the ocean, like it was pretty great.
That sounds pretty magical.
It was.
Yeah.
I was there with my best friend Jason.
Oh, that's sweet. I remember him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
When he wants to be.
Aren't we all though?
Yeah. But what were we saying before that? Who knows?
I don't remember. I have an attention problem, so
sorry. That's gonna bode well. We'll keep tangenting off here and there. But I feel like we finished talking about Markland, which is an amazing place.
Yes.
What I am excited to talk about too, because I feel like there's not enough light shown on this, and I feel like it's more common than people realize. So you have 2 kids, but you've had 4.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So you've done 2 surrogacies. What was the situation, and what was that like doing that first surrogacy? So,
how that came about is that my best friend is who I carried for, and she obviously struggled with fertility, and watching that is really hard as an outsider, especially because I got pregnant so easily without really trying. I actually didn't try it all the first time. The first time was not trying. So being able to have that and not your best friend have that is like the most gut-wrenching thing. And I have a lot of family and friends that have fertility problems, and
it's heartbreaking to be around because it's so hard because you can't relate, but you feel it so heavily on yourself, because like I've been in those conversations before too, where even like because you start feeling like your body as a woman is failing you.
Yes.
And
I know that's how she felt too.
So obviously I don't know how to process that.
Right.
But it feels so heavy, like it just hurts.
It does, because it's like in the grand scheme of things, that's what we're put here for. So if you can't do that, like how sad, like it's so sad. I'm like gonna get teary-eyed thinking about it. But it's like, and then watching it, like I felt like so helpless.
Yeah.
And like
especially when they want it so bad.
Right. And she wanted to be a mom more than anything. Like when we were in high school, like what do you want to be when you grow up? A mom.
Pregnant. I want to be pregnant.
Yes, she was like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really want kids until I had them. I was like, nah, I'm good. Like those things are annoying.
I like that after you had them, you're like, I guess I'll keep them.
Right. I guess I'll keep these ones, and then I'll have them for other people too. Which is like, luckily I was blessed with easy pregnancies. So so I had, when someone needs help or something needs help, like if someone posts something on Facebook, like, hey, we need volunteers for this, like I love to help with that because it's like there and you can do something about it.
Right.
But with that, it was just so like, how do I help you? And I'm a very like, I want to help. If I can't help you, I just feel helpless and useless. And like, as a best friend, I'm like, what do I do? Was it your
idea then? Like, did you bring it to her?
It was my idea. So I had mentioned it.
You're like, here's a crazy idea.
Yes. I remember being like, I can't remember even the first time I brought it up, but I had said, I'm done having kids, so if you want to use my uterus, you are welcome to borrow it. I would be happy to do that for you. Yeah. And she wasn't ready. She wasn't there yet. Like, it was probably like a year or two before, maybe even more.
Really? Honestly, so you had mentioned it, and it wasn't like she sat on it for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to say that my daughter was like 2 when I said that for the first time, I think. So she kept going for a few more years of trying.
Yeah.
And like I think she didn't think I was serious, because then she brought it up, and was like, hey, did you mean that when you said that? And I was like, yes, absolutely, I meant that. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't I do this? And then, eventually, she had a handful of losses, and her doctor told her, like, you're going to have to look at other ways because this isn't going to happen. And, right. So she's
just already like, you feel like everything's falling apart, and then you have to deal with the trauma of almost, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just devastating.
Which I can't even imagine. And so, I was like, absolutely, let me do this for you. I would love to. And so, that whole process was like scary, but also fun, but also scary because, they don't, like, you're just kind of thrown into it. They're really? Like, they don't really, I guess it was I should have researched more things. So, like, I didn't know.
Well, you think they sit you down and step by step you.
They could have, but they should have more times until it sunk in. Because, like, you don't realize, like, I'm sure they told me at the initial appointment, but I really did not fully understand that when you do this, you have to go through the whole IVF process.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was going to be like the turkey baster kind of thing. Like, let's just go out. Let's just go right in. Nope, that's not how it is. You have to do the whole thing of all the shots, the medicine. I was on like 5 different medications. It's a pain
in the ass, and even that is still not 100% of a guarantee.
Which is even crazy. Like, oh my gosh, how are you going to do all this work, spend all this money, and then not even get a product out of it? Like, outcome.
You do this for free, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they just paid for all the... Yeah. Some people can make a living out of this.
You can. I do. Yeah, I actually have a handful of friends that...
you can make up to $25,000 carrying a baby for somebody else.
Oh, way more depending on where you're
living. Well, sure, yeah. But even that is like, that's wild.
Yeah. I was like, obviously they paid for their medical bills and stuff. Yeah. But I offered that, obviously, like, not like... Yeah. I'm going to do this for you, but you're going to have to pay me.
Here's your receipt at the end.
No. I didn't do that. I wasn't thinking of that at all. Yeah. I just wanted to be there for her. And so, but she, like, it was weird because I wanted to be, like, so we're in all these surrogate groups and where you can see, like, how other people's experiences are going. And that's pretty much where I got the most of my knowledge. Was watching other people's experiences, so like I didn't know that I was gonna have to do these like 8-inch needle shots in my butt every day for like months, and so until the day it was happening, and I was like, oh shoot, okay, yep, we're just jumping right in. So it was like kind of terrifying. Yeah. But then when I did it the second time for them, then it was very like it was like a no-brainer that I would do it because they.
Well, then you know what to expect also.
Exactly. So that's kind of why I was like, well, I know what to expect. I know we already know my body can do this because your embryo and my uterus worked the first time, both times too took.
Really?
Which is
that's
like
pretty good.
it's already like a 50% chance, and then. Because you don't know if you're gonna.
It's like you're just built for breeding.
I guess so. But I'm done doing. I'm not being pregnant anymore because this last one. So I turned.
So this first one, there was no complications though. The first.
No, and I didn't have any complications either time. But this last one was a little bit. Probably just because I'm old now.
Well, not for nothing. So we talked about this before we got on live. And there was a lot more going around the second one also.
Yes.
And I'm 100%. A firm believer that energy exists, and that thoughts become things, and that the stress that was around this second one, and the emotions surrounding it, 100% affected everything.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I'd be curious to see how it's affecting that child presently, and going forward in their life from now on.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't affect him because I didn't think of that.
Well, so there's. If I could get out into the weeds for a second and lose all of our listeners, because I used to do trauma recovery.
I didn't know that.
And and there's during the training, one of the things that you learn is there's this book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, and it's an incredible book, and it's this new science that's starting to really gain momentum, and it's. To me, some of it makes a lot of sense, like right off the bat, because if we know how emotions work, so emotions are created by peptides in the blood, right? And they're in the bloodstream and they travel clear. So if you can sit here and say, if you're carrying a baby, you're attached, it's in your womb, and your blood is in the baby's blood are together. So if the peptides are in your blood, and that's where your emotions are being carried, they're also going into the baby. It just can't process it because it doesn't have the mental capacity to understand things. But it's 100% being pulled in directions and starting to create narratives based on how you're feeling.
That's insane.
It is insane.
Because it's like predetermining the baby's fate before they even know.
Well, it's starting to put certain things together. That's why you can raise two kids the exact same way and they're way different.
That makes sense.
Because you don't know what they went through. There's so much traumatic things that happen in the womb that you wouldn't even register.
Yeah.
Because it might not have been traumatic for you, but how is your body processing and how's it going into the baby? So again, it's the Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that, but it is a real thing.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see that because what happens during the second surrogacy?
So during the second surrogacy is when no names. We're not supposed to name names. My best friend.
You talking about? You already mentioned her name earlier.
My best friend Lindsay's husband left her, and had an affair and all of this crazy stuff. And so.
Now this is insane because you're carrying a baby for a couple.
Right.
And you said this was in the first trimester.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it comes out because it's not like he offered it up.
Right.
All of a sudden she finds out.
Right.
That he's been having an affair and just starts unloading emotionally on her in general. And you still got to carry this baby for another 6 months?
Yes. Yes.
That's
so
wild.
I was feeling very, I was feeling a little bit robbed because this was supposed to be another magical experience. The first one was so incredible. When I tell you this was something out of a movie, it felt like that. The delivery was beautiful. The appointments were full of happy tears. It was just so special. And so that's obviously why I was like, I will totally do this again for you. Let's
the second one too is considered a geriatric pregnancy.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you were 35, 36?
Yeah. Yep. So I had to go to a couple more appointments than normal for more ultrasounds because now
they probably monitor it a lot closer.
Yeah. And they already monitor closer when it's IVF too, so it was just extra then. Yeah. I'm always there. So it was a little bit more. And then towards the end, I had every physical symptom that I never had before. I had swollen ankles and puffy feet, and I was having the craziest baby brain ever.
Baby brain?
Baby brain, yeah. Where your brain is mushy. You forget everything. Oh my gosh. The stories I could tell you of, I legit thought that I was in my 20s one day.
What?
Like, yeah. I was thinking like, oh yeah, when we're in our 30s. And then I was like, what? Like, I actually thought that.
Wait,
and I had
then
to
you're
think
like, I'm
about
already at
it.
the end of my 30s.
Yes, and then I was like talking about the year, and I was like, oh yeah, 2022 is going to be our year. And like, wait, what? Like, there was just so many instances of that where I'm like, wait, what? Like, where is my brain? Like, this baby's sucking away on my brain. And then I was having like contractions all the time, and like just like super painful like cramps and all kinds of stuff that I didn't have any of that before. And so
which has got to be stressful, which
yes.
is making it even worse.
Right. Well, and then on top of that, I'm trying to be like the best friend I can be to my best friend who's just been, her whole life's been dumped upside down.
Right.
And so
to be fair, this story is not a story of woe is her.
No.
This is a story of her riding off into the sunset with her amazing kids.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear on that.
100%. She got her babies and all is well now. But at the time, yes, it was really stressful. And I was obviously mad for her that like this should be a special time and she's having to go through this now. And while having a baby. So she had a 1-year-old, a baby on the way. But I will say that if anything, I am grateful that I was the one carrying the baby, because I don't know that she would have been able to handle all that. Sure. Yeah. And so
which sucks to think about.
It does suck to think about.
That's a lot to deal with.
It is. And so like, because that's so traumatic, having your like being blindsided like that.
I feel like it's even traumatic just on your end, having to be the piece of it you were.
Right.
I feel like it seems impossible during that initial moment. There had to be a moment where you're like, they're not gonna even want this baby.
Yes, it was very well, and then I was feeling like, you got to get it together, because I'm about to hand you this child, this and living thing. Like I felt so like stressed out that this situation was being like far from ideal to be born into. So like, it was just very it was a lot of pressure, I guess, and to like I also felt like I was upset because, you know, he was my friend too, and I felt like he was betraying me by doing this. Like,
I've heard that you gave him what for?
I mean,
verbally.
I let him have it. Well, it wasn't verbally. It wasn't a text, because I don't like conflict in person. I don't do well with it, and I was also full of raging hormones.
Well,
so
you can gather your thoughts in a text, right?
Yes,
at least
did.
somewhat.
Oh
better.
yeah, I think I got my point across. That he was the devil, and so.
Because you said he kept reaching out to you.
Yeah, well,
like specifically because he wanted you to hear his side of the story.
Yes,
like his side, you're gonna be like, oh well, that makes sense.
Right, and that's what blew my mind the most. Like, why are you trying to? Why? Like, this isn't gonna get you anywhere. Like, this has been my best friend since 6th grade. Like, I literally don't care if she set you on fire. I'm still going to be on her side. Like there's no circumstance or situation where I would have been like, oh, okay, I get why you did this now.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
This is why you're a scumbag.
Right. And I would have never, no. So that's why I was like, nah, pass. I'm good on that. Thank you. But I'll just be here for my friend and you can go fuck off, basically, is what I was in my mind. Cause but luckily, like, I had a really good support system with my coworkers being like awesome, and my family and my friends and my boyfriend, like everybody was so like there for me that I could be there for her then. And so I hope I was a good friend during that, because it was like a lot for one person, I think, to handle.
That's why I'd be curious too, because like so you've been divorced for a little while. You guys co-parent really, really well, which is amazing, and all that really matters. Like, whatever life happens, people grow apart. Yeah. Co-parenting is critical.
For sure.
Kyle's always been a good dude.
Yeah, like, he's a great guy. And he's a good person, and he's a great dad, and I have no regrets.
I'm always amazed, and I think it's admirable that people can realize, hey, this isn't working out.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. Let's just move on, and we'll meet in the middle here as much as we can.
Yes.
I'd be curious, though, what it's like to have a new relationship and then carrying somebody else's baby. Were you dating your new boyfriend during both, or just the second one?
Just during the second one.
So you only came for the exciting one.
Yes. Yes, that's funny. I didn't even think of that. He got me right at the most dramatic drama of my life.
He must like you for real.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he's an angel. He had told me, I did ask. I was like, is it weird because when we first started hanging out, I was like, you know that I'm pregnant, right? Like, I'm pregnant with someone else's baby.
Yeah.
And he had said, like, I don't think it's weird. I think it would be weird if it was yours. But since it's not
weirder, but
right, but like since it's not yours, it's like I just think you're really nice.
Yeah,
like it was like that, and so like it was
true.
yeah, and he was like really helpful and like yeah, he helped take care of me afterwards when because I had C-sections, so he had helped.
Really?
Yeah, all of them have been
all
C-sections.
4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yeah,
man.
my first one was an emergency, so
That's nice. You just get a zipper put in, they
yeah,
just open it right away.
Exactly. Yep.
Smart.
It's like a Ziploc bag in there,
And you can still enjoy your other parts.
Yep. Yeah. So can't complain, but it is surgery, so
Sure,
you know. So yeah, he helped out with that, and yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it was. He didn't act like it was weird for him, but then
I think it's one of those things where you're like, this is such an amazing thing she's doing that it's easy to set your ego aside, and like he already said, like it's not her baby,
right?
Actually, where there's like some guy involved anyway,
right?
So like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
But yeah, and even through that really dramatic second one, like I still don't regret anything because at the end of the day, my best friend got her 2 kids and like everything worked out. And you know, I think that's what is whatever's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. Like it sucks that it happened that way. Like obviously there are so many other routes that this could have went.
Sure.
But also like however it's supposed to happen happens. And so here we are now, you know.
I agree. It's you know, it's always interesting the way you get places, but you still end up in the same beautiful place eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what do you suppose is next for you?
Well, you know, that's a good question because
I know you've got 30 more years at Markland.
Yes, other than my 30 more years at Markland.
Somehow we're going to get back to Paris.
Yes.
France
I really need to find something else because I don't know if this is a flaw or what, but I have like this need to feel purpose.
Sure.
And I would think that my kids would give me that, which they do somewhat.
I think it's, if I can interject just from the little bit I know you, everything you have gives you purpose, but then eventually you hit a wall where you feel like this is the most purpose I can be in this situation, and I need the next thing.
Yes.
And not in a negative way, just saying, all right, what's next? Where else can I help? Where am I needed, basically?
Yes, and that is what I feel like. And so now that this like surrogacy chapter is closed, I'm like, now what do I do? Because I felt like, you know, they needed me, like the baby and mom, like everyone needed. I was so needed, and now I'm just kind of like. And, you know, I'm in therapy, and I've talked about it with her before, and how, like, because she was concerned about that. She was actually who brought it up. She's like, you're the kind of person who needs something else. Yeah. And, like, what are you going to do when you don't have anything else? And
there's really only 2 options.
I'm like, I'm going to find something else. What do you mean?
Well, you either start focusing on yourself, which is the next thing, or you just see where else you can be of service. Like,
yeah. And I think that's, I mean, I have been doing a lot of like self-reflection and stuff over the years. Like, if we had a serious conversation now versus 3 years ago, I am a totally different person. Like, there was a time where I couldn't talk about my emotions or feelings, let alone I couldn't even identify them. So like when I started at therapy, I was like starting from scratch. Like I've, like everyone else, have had tons of traumas growing up and like compounding things that happen. But like I never knew how to even articulate what I was feeling, and I would just like push it aside and like
those emotions come up as a jumble.
Right.
And if you don't have the tools to be able to kind of peel back each layer and start talking about each one as you're pulling it, it just stays a jumble. And then you just lash out however you're going to lash out, right?
Right. And that's like, it sucks because it's like when you get older and you realize like all of the time that like, I feel like I wasted a lot of time because I wasn't having like deeper, more like, what's the words I'm looking for here? Like I wasn't having, everything about me was, even my friendships, everything was very like surface.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't like, deeply connected to anybody, and because of that, and because I couldn't communicate anything or even like identify my feelings, I messed up a lot of things, and like surely that's why my marriage failed. Like I couldn't even communicate what I was unhappy about, and I didn't realize it until it was then it's too late at that point.
I think failed is a dangerous word.
Well, I mean, yeah,
because to see where you guys are, I could never say that your marriage failed. Your relationship might have evolved, and the legal paperwork might have been involved.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not a failure. I'm always amazed at how we as people presume everything is forever.
That's a good
Instead
point.
of it just letting it be what it is. Like,
yeah.
You had an amazing relationship, you had a good marriage, you've got an amazing family. You still have all those things, just the paperwork is gone, and you have an evolved relationship and a new love life. There's no failure there.
That's a good way to look at it, actually. Yeah, I never really pictured it that way.
You're welcome for that one.
Yeah, thank you. That was really insightful. Because I've beat myself up a lot about things that I should have and could have and would have done differently, and like how I'm going to change in the future and not let these things happen again.
The best you can hope for is to be mindful.
Right.
Yeah, everything you've done has brought you to this point. Like, sure, in retrospect, it's easy to be like, I wouldn't do it that way again. Right. But at the same point, like, here you are in the exact way you are right now because of all those moments, like, and you're more mindful to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's why I think that is what my next thing is going to be, just working on myself and like how I can grow as a person and like not need to be something else for someone. Like, yeah, because like that need for me is, man, it's like so strong where I'm like, I don't know if I need to be busy doing things to like, before I used to think, so we were going through our problems while I was pregnant the first time, the first surrogacy. Right. And that's when like, everything started kind of getting messy with my marriage, and that pregnancy like really got me through it. And it's like because I had something else to focus on, so I wasn't
you could not deter off of that path.
Right, exactly.
There's no, like, you have to be a specific and live a specific way,
right? No
matter what, because not only are you an amazing person, if it was your own kid, this is somebody else's kid,
right? So it's
you
like
gotta
extra.
Keep your brain right and keep your body healthy,
exactly,
and make sure everything goes well.
Right, and so because of that, like, I think that is what made me be like, oh, I need something else to be fulfilled or have purpose or something. And so then, when I like jumped into asking if I could do it again for them, like that, I was like, yes, like this is going to give me something again, like that need, because it's not, and I never had, I've never had postpartum depression, but I felt a sense of like emptiness afterwards where I didn't feel that with my own kids, but like, and it wasn't because I had a baby and I was giving it away. It wasn't like that. It was like, because I was overjoyed to see my best friend be a mom. Like, I can't even describe the feeling that gave me. But like, just like feeling like an emptiness of like not doing something for someone, I guess. Like, it just makes me feel like empty or like boring or like I need something to, like, not that I have something to prove to people, but like, I don't know, like
it's just where your value comes from. Like,
I guess,
everybody's got their own love language and how they value or how they get their value. I think it's amazing and exciting for you to finally take some time for you. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're in the best place of your life to be able to actually do that.
For sure.
In a meaningful way and actually like hear yourself.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
You know what one of my favorite memories is? Of you and I? It's actually a van full of people.
Oh my gosh. Tell me more. bring me back.
There's a good chance you might not remember because of what we were doing back in those days. But there was a full van. I don't even know who was with us. I was there. Jason was there. It was one of the nights we went to Waterfront. Is that what you called it? Mm-hmm. And we were just singing Bayside on top of our lungs. Driving out to another, like the 4 a.m. bar, and it was so much fun and it was so cool. But you know what's wild about that? That a murderer was driving us.
I was just going to ask if that is who was driving because
it is, yes.
Yes, I do remember this night actually.
Does does that blow your brain? Because we were actually close friends.
Yes, same.
I have his number in my phone. Still.
That whole thing I think was more traumatic for me than if he would have just died.
Yeah, to know that he's a murderer instead.
Right.
Yeah.
And and also like just so many unknowns and yes, whenever pictures pop up in my memory, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna delete that because that feels weird. That feels icky now.
Yeah. It definitely would give me the ick.
Yes. Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah, and the weird part about that is when you're younger, you really don't know how anyone's gonna turn out. Especially when you have so many different kinds of groups of friends too. Mm-hmm. Who knows where everyone's gonna end up? Are we gonna end up dead? Are we gonna end up in prison?
He was dating a friend of ours, and was really abusive to her. Mm-hmm. And some people went and talked to him about that, mm-hmm. and that's when he left town.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever. And then cause I'm like, man, how close was she to becoming a victim?
Yep.
That's not okay.
Yeah, that really messed with my mind a lot because our friendship was I was really close to him and his parents, and I stayed the night. Whenever I came back from the city, I would sleep over at their house.
That's wild.
And which is, I just it blows my mind because his parents are so sweet. His mom is such a sweet angel, and we had times where he would come out to the city with our plan to go out. And instead, one night we saw that there was a Disney original movie marathon on. What? And we're like, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, obviously we're going to, we canceled our plans and stayed and watched it all night. All night we stayed and watched Smart House and what Xenon, Girl with the 20%, and all those old movies. Yeah. And one time we were going to go to church together, but we missed it because we slept in too late. So we went and drove around listening to worship music, just singing all the songs.
That counts.
Right, counts. We had church in the car. And he was a really good friend to me on multiple occasions. I was stranded somewhere once, and he drove an hour to come pick me up.
And that's what's wild. Like you said, he's legitimately a really good dude in the time that we were hanging out. So to see that kind of thing happen, you're like, wow.
Right.
How
and I know, drugs are a big part of everything.
Sure, yeah.
But that is nuts to me.
It's just one of those things, is it brewing in there, or does something unleash it?
Probably both.
Probably both, realistically.
Right. Because, anytime I talk about this with someone, I'm still mind blown that happened. Because, like you said, we were with him so much. That could have been any of us. At any point, he could have snapped But I just could not, when I first found that out, I was like, no way. But at the same time, I didn't feel, it's weird because I felt like, no way this is happening, but I also could believe it.
That's funny that you say that because that's such an odd feeling to have.
Right.
To definitely be like, this is so surreal, but I'm not surprised.
Right. Just because there had been, some other questionable times in our friendship, not with me, but with other people where I was like, okay, you're not on the right path here. Let's get it, reel it in. But that is so extreme that I was like, okay. And you know what's crazy about that too is that's not even my first friend that ended up being a murderer.
Is that true?
Yes, I had a neighbor growing up that we worked together, and we would drive together to work in high school. I worked at Harry's Bar and Grill. It's not there anymore because they knocked down all of Countryside. I don't know if you remember that far back in Yorkville, but there was a time where there was old Countryside.
I remember, Countryside, I always was annoyed that they knocked down Countryside Theater.
Yes.
To build another theater.
Right, because it was so cute and little too. They could have just you're right. And in the exact same spot, which is even funnier.
So silly.
But yes, so there used to be a little bar and grill there that I was a host at, and we worked there together, and we became good friends, and then he killed his dad. Wow. And we had found out that there were I will say that there's a good motive behind it. It's a good reason, I feel like. But we found out that he was he had like schizophrenia and wasn't taking his medicine,
Yeah.
and then he had found out that his sibling was being abused by his dad like he was, and that can actually make you that can give you schizophrenia and things like that, you know, later in
100%.
life. And
Yeah.
so he found that out and went and killed him. And
That's wild.
it was so wild because I was like with him literally the day before at work, and so, and I was in high school too, so like, you know, when you're in high school, you're like, emotions are already crazy, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And so for that, something like having another like this in my life again, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Well, I think we just figured it out that you're causing this.
I'm the denominator between all of the crazy people in Kendall County.
2 out of 2 murderers I know had you involved. That's
I
100%.
mean, dang, that when you put it that way, but
Yeah, math doesn't lie.
no, yeah, you're right. There's probably more that I don't even know. Like, who knows?
It's insane to think about. And I didn't mean to tangent that at the end of the show. I wanted to end on the high note.
Yeah, what the heck? We really took a turn here. Like,
yeah, I like what we were talking about before that. Well, I like that memory because I like that memory.
That was a good memory.
And it inevitably leads to the other one.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
Well, besides that, though, that was a good memory, though. I do remember that.
Yeah, every time I still listen to Bayside, I still can picture us all belting it out. In that van, having the time of our lives in our mid-20s. I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't drink till I was 26.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then like by 28, I was pretty much done.
Oh, that was a quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I'll still do it very, very, very rarely.
Yeah.
I'd rather do anything else. Like you were talking about too, like I prefer smaller get-togethers with actual conversation.
Yeah.
And like I like to connect with people, and if I can't, like I like to go out to the bar and make a scene, sure, like once a year, maybe every other year, but I much prefer to connect with people as much as possible.
Yeah, same. Where I was not like that in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, let's go to all the bars and do as much partying as we can until the sun comes up. Like,
I do like staying up till the sun comes up. I feel like that's one of the things that's synonymous with partying, but I don't want to party. I just love staying up late. I love watching the sunrise. I love just having idle chatter. Well, not even idle chatter, but like usually around 1 to 3 in the morning is when you're really getting into some real deep conversation.
Okay.
And like it just
I
keeps
don't know
going.
that I've experienced that because I'm typically in bed by like 9.
Yeah. You're missing all the good conversation.
I am. I'll have to stay up late sometime, but
it's good because like I feel like people their guards are lowered, the facades come down, the masks come off. The later it gets, and you can actually get to the core of these people and actually have real conversations, and it's just on a whole different level that you might not see at any other time. Yeah, and it's really cool.
That's deep.
I like to stay up as late as possible. Yeah. Usually I'm just playing video games, but sometimes I'm talking to people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so let's go back to before we were talking about the car ride.
Sure.
And you focusing on yourself, really living high on the hog. I can see why you consider yourself boring, but don't sell yourself short. Like, you're doing amazing things. You've got an amazing job.
Well, thanks.
You've got an amazing family. Like, you're co-parent. Like, you're a poster child for really what people want to strive for or should strive for, as far as like, it's not a bad divorce. Shouldn't be a bad word. It means you're betting on yourself, both of you.
Yeah. Because
there's more for you out there instead of let's suffer through this. That's important. Like, it sucks that it's got a negative connotation to it.
Right. Yeah, I never really.
Because as weird as it sounds to say, it's always good news. It means the relationship wasn't working. We recognized it, and now we're moving forward.
Yeah, that's a really positive way to look at that.
So I think that's great. I'm excited to see where your personal journey comes next.
Me too.
And kind of what comes up through that. And I guess that's it. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. No.
Great.
That was good.
I appreciate you so much for taking the time and coming out and meeting me over here.
Yeah, it was fun to catch up.
Yeah, it was cool to catch up. Awesome to talk. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.